How do people do this? This is so difficult. Ta-da! Hi folks, it's the end of the year, so it's time for a Everything I Knit in 2025 video. So I've got, how much stuff do I have? I've knit 17 things this year. That was a lot more than I necessarily thought I was going to. And yeah, let's go over them. I'm going to talk about all the projects, the patterns, how the yarn has held up, especially for things that like I have knit and gotten to wear multiple times over the year. I haven't de-pilled anything, so I can kind of show you how everything's held up. And yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so I'm going to go pretty much in order that I finished these objects. So it was not the first thing that I cast on this year, but it was my first finished object, and that is the Monday sweater. This is the Monday Sweater Junior pattern by CatKnit, and I knit it up in K&C organic cotton. And this is in the color Stripe Santa Fe. I used about 2 and 3, 2.5 skeins to make this sweater. And yeah, this is a sweater that took me about a week to make. If you want that quick dopamine hit, if you have a toddler or you know somebody else who has a toddler, make toddler sweaters because they go so fast, and so it's such a nice haha, I did stuff, I accomplished things. And yeah, I like this pattern. I think I'm definitely going to make another Monday sweater for my daughter. The Monday Sweater Junior goes from a year 1 to 15, year 15, and I made the 2 to 3 size, and it is oversized. It's kind of an oversized, very comfortable raglan sweater pattern. I think if I knit it again, I'm not going to use this yarn. I did like this yarn. I like the look of it. It is a sweater that my daughter has picked out a couple of times on her own, but because it is 100% organic cotton, is it organic? It is organic. Huh. It doesn't have, it's held up pretty well, and it doesn't feel like it gets stretched out all that much, but it is a dense, kind of heavier fabric that doesn't have the movement and the drape that a lot of wool will give you, or even something that has a silk or a linen in it. The fabric's held up pretty well. I mean, this has gotten dirty. Toddler, it gets dirty. And yeah, looking at the fabric, there's a couple of bits. You can see here there's a little bit that has pulled out a little bit. But held up pretty well. And yeah, I think I definitely am going to knit the Monday Junior sweater again. I have some thoughts to potentially use this and do a color work sweater for my daughter, but I'm trying to decide if I want to do it at DK or fingering weight. Just living where we do, we have less colder days, so she might get a little bit more wear out of a fingering weight sweater than a DK weight, but also it's good to have those layering stuff for toddlers. The next finished object is my cropped storm sweater. So this is the storm sweater pattern, also by CatKnit. It's a little hard to see. I'll make sure to throw in inserts of me wearing the sweaters that I finished this year, just so you can see them. This is knit up in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Superwash in the color Nightshade Heather. You can kind of see it a little bit better if I bring it closer. And I do really like this color for the kind of subtle look that it gives with this. It's a little hard to see here, but if I'm in daylight especially, the way the light hits it, when the light's hitting it at an angle, just is really cool, which is what I was going for. This I knit up actually a size small, even though I should be knitting a size medium, because I wanted a little bit of a closer fit. I find petite knit, her baggy styles are a little bit too baggy for me. And then I also did it cropped. I left off the last like repeat of patterns, I'd seen another project where somebody did it cropped and was like, that looks really good. So I did that. Really happy with this. I have worn this quite a bit, and the yarn is holding up really well. Like here, you can see like, okay, this is the under part of the sleeve, and there's a little pilling, a little bit here and there, but not that much. And also I think because of the texture, like it gets hidden a lot, like that pilling is a lot less noticeable and probably also doesn't happen quite as much. I did knit this up using a worsted weight yarn, even though the pattern calls for DK. So it is a little bit of a denser feel, and I think because of that, it doesn't have the like drape and movement that I think if I were to make this again, I would use a DK weight, or I would increase my gauge to have a little bit of a looser material so it moved a little bit more. That is my only kind of complaint. It does kind of at times feel a little bit like it's holding itself up. But yes, I really like the feel. Hilo, it's just a truck going by. It's okay. Thank you. I really like the feel, the slight toothiness of the wool of the Andes. We'll say it isn't the most comfortable next to skin. I tend to wear it with like a tank top on underneath. The couple times I've worn it like just on its own, it's definitely started to feel a little prickly, especially if I've gotten a little bit warm. Now that we're into much cooler weather, it doesn't really feel prickly to me at all. That also might just be from wearing it more, and it is the superwash, so I know that does actually help a little bit with the drape of it. Very happy with this. Would I knit the storm sweater again? Yes, and I think I would make it in a DK and probably do a lighter color just so the pattern shows up a little bit more. Or I think like I enjoyed the pattern. It was very popcorny in the like getting through each of the different patterns, and it's all just knits and purls, so it's not too complicated, and they were pretty easy to remember and follow, as far as like not needing to like be glued to the chart and the instructions. So yes, I think I would make the storm sweater again, just kind of a different feel, and I'd probably not do it cropped just so that they'd be two distinct sweaters in my wardrobe. The third finished object of the year was another project for my daughter, and that's the Eva Cardigan Junior. I knit this up in Big Twist Menagerie in Rose Finch, and this is in the size 2 to 3. The Eva Cardigan Junior pattern is also by Petite Knit. I really enjoyed doing this. I think it's a really great construction. It's got kind of this like fun back bit that makes this like trapezoid, and then it is a drop shoulder kind of set in drop contiguous, I think is how it's called. And then it's got this like nice 2x2 ribbed collar and hem. Very easy to do. I think it's a really good, simple cardigan. The 2x2 ribbing gives it a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest. My kid has worn this quite a bit. The yarn has held up pretty well. There's a little bit of pilling and stuff on the underside of the sleeve, not too bad. This is also machine washable, so I've thrown it in the wash. The buttons are just these little simple wood buttons. I've tried to lay flat to dry, but I do know this has gone in the dryer a couple times and held up great, which especially for kids' clothes is important because they get dirty. And I don't want to be somebody who's like trying to have my 3-year-old be precious about her clothes. Like, she loves her princess dresses right now and definitely like doesn't want to get them dirty, but I also don't want her to be like, you can't go play in the sand pit because you're wearing something I knit you. No, go play. I like this. I will probably make her another of the Eva Cardigan Junior like as she grows out of this, because I do think it's a very good base pattern. Again, what is the sizing for Eva? Again, this goes from 1 years up to 14 years, so wide range of sizes for kids. And I think you can also have a lot of fun with either just doing like a fun bold color or like a striped multicolor. I think a speckle yarn would look really cool in this. And I chose this because I figured this would kind of go with a lot of different things. And it was just fun yarn. So yes, wood knit this pattern. Again, I found it pretty easy to follow. The next finished object I don't actually have because I gifted it to my mom a while ago, and that is the Eucyliptus socks. So this is the A Dream That Roam Socks pattern by Deborah Breland, and I knitted up in Knit Pick Stroll Effects in the color Eucyliptus. I originally got this yarn and was going to use a different sock pattern and just didn't love it, so I decided to try out this pattern. I really enjoyed it. It was my first time doing lace on socks, and I will say, like, it was a pretty easy to follow lace pattern. I liked that they had different charts for left and for right, gave you that option to do it. You didn't have to, but I did, and it knit up pretty quick. It was a pretty easy, like, once I got into it, was able to kind of, like, remember the pattern as I went across. I think I might actually make these socks again, maybe in like a gold or like an orange color. I think that would look really, really nice because my sister-in-law said she really liked the pattern, and I like making my sister-in-law socks. She used to knit but hasn't been knitting for a while because of arthritis, so like I know she appreciates them a lot and really values having hand knit socks, so I may be doing another pair of those in the future. I like the pattern. I thought it was pretty easy to follow, and yeah, since I gifted them, I don't have them to show you to talk about how the yarn is held up, but I've used Knit Pick Stroll in the past and find it's a good sock yarn. This next pattern may look familiar, just larger size, and that is because I made myself the Eva Cardigan by Petite Knit. I've made a couple of Petite Knits like junior sizes and then made the adult size because I also made the Storm Junior for my daughter, and then I made the Storm for myself, and I've made the Monday for her, and I'm probably going to end up making the Monday for myself. Yes, this is knit up in Knit Picks Woolen Cotton. I wanted a kind of all seasons cardigan, and I really love the color of this. It's in cedar green. Let me give you a little bit of a close-up. So it is this kind of like nice green, very foresty green. There's little bits of like yellow and blue throughout, so depending on the light, it kind of leans one way or the other, but I feel like it's a really good, like, color, but also neutral. It goes with a lot of things in my wardrobe. I have layered this and worn this so many times. The yarn's held up really well for the amount of times I've worn it. There's a little bit of pilling and stuff on the sleeves, not too bad. And yeah, I liked making this pattern. I'm not sure I'd make this again for myself, and that's because I have a couple of gripes with this after having like worn it for most of the year. I finished this in May, mid-May, so I've worn it a lot. One of the things is it tends to fall off of one or both of my shoulders, and I don't know if that's because I've noticed a lot with petite knits sizing. I ideally should size down because she just gives the bust measurements, but I think I need to size to my upper bust more so than my actual bust because my shoulders, I think, fit a smaller size than like the way she breaks down her sizes based on bust, which makes sense. Looking at her, she is a petiter build person, does not have looks like she doesn't have a significant difference between her upper bust and bust measurements. I am somebody who does have a little bit more of a difference in my upper bust to bust, so I think I need to just keep that in mind as I'm looking at patterns. It can be a little bit difficult with petite knit because she doesn't include schematics, so I think trying to find the right size can be a little bit difficult if you want to like customize it. That's a bit. But yeah, so it tends to fall off, and I don't know if that's a sizing thing, like if I should have sized down, or if it's due to the weight of this fabric. Because it is a woolen cotton, I think it's heavier feeling than if it was 100% wool. So I don't know if it's just the weight is pulling it down a little bit more. Also, I feel like the sleeves are too big. The ribbing on the bottom doesn't really cinch it in. There's not really much, is there? There's a little bit of shaping to the sleeves, but not a whole lot. And I think just I maybe need to do a size small for petite knit instead of a size medium for the most part, because the sleeves just also feel like they're a little bit too big. Which is interesting, because I'm usually somebody, like, I have decent sized biceps. I'm usually somebody that finds, like, women's clothing sleeves tend to be too tight. So that's just interesting. But yeah, I'd love to know if you also have knit the Eva cardigan. Do you experience it sliding off your shoulders? Is this just something that, like, is it a size thing? Is it a fabric thing? Let me know what you think. And I also, like, I do like the button choice I made on this. A few people commented, like, it reads a little bit oranger than I necessarily thought. And maybe someday I might change these buttons out for something that's a little bit more cool tone. But I do think it is a fun little, like, statement pop on this cardigan. Would I make the Eva cardigan again for myself? I don't think so. I really love how this turned out. It came out exactly how I pictured. I love it. I wear it so much, especially in the summer. I wore it so much around the house just as a, like, I'm home, we have the AC on. It's cold. I'm just sitting here at a computer or something, or I know we're going out and about and it's going to be really hot outside, but as soon as we walk in, it's going to be freezing because they're blasting the AC. I wore this so much. So I'm really happy with it, but I think there are a lot of really good basic cardigan patterns out there that I personally think I would like to try a different one and maybe find one that stays on my shoulders a little bit better and maybe have the sleeves fit a little bit better than this pattern. But I am very happy with it. We're going to take a brief break from finished objects to talk about one almost finished object and a project that I'm probably going to frog. So the almost finished object, honestly, I forgot about this until I was going through some boxes and my Ravelry queue and was like, oh, right, I almost finished this. And that is the Viola Tee. This pattern is by Sarah Antopenkov, and I knit it in Malabrigo Sock in Anniversaro. Again, a color that my daughter kind of picked out. And then the white is in Knit Picks Stroll. And I realized that all I have to do on this sweater is sew up this cuff, the hem, and then weave in the ends, and it's done. And then my kid has a nice, cute little knit tee. And I really like this pattern. It's a very simple raglan shaped little tee, but it has this really fun detail on the cuff and then the bottom hem of this kind of like scallopy look. And that's done by just like a little tiny bit of stranded color work. I think in the original pattern, it calls for the collar to be knit out of the same color as the main work, but I liked a couple of people had done it in the contrast, and I liked that, especially with such a high contrast. I definitely, I will 100% make this decision after I've like finished it up and blocked it, and seen how my kid is wearing it, but I think I'm definitely going to make this pattern again. It would be very easy to adapt to make it long sleeve, just a very easy single skein for this size, for the 2 to 3 size, fingering weight sweater, so something also that she'll probably get a lot more wear out of. And it just has this really fun detail. I think I might actually use this as a base. I mentioned earlier with the Monday sweater, trying to decide between a DK or a fingering weight colorwork sweater. So I might actually use this pattern as a base for that colorwork sweater, just to figure out like how many stitches to cast on and when to do the raglan shaping and all of that. But then not do the scalloped edging. Or maybe I'll do the scalloped edging. We'll see. We'll see how it combines with everything else. But very happy, so I'm calling this a basically finished, because to be honest, it's not finished at time of filming this video, but I'm probably going to finish filming this and then go sew these up and call it done. And maybe even gift it to my daughter for Yule. And hey, then I've already given her something, so Yule Cat won't come and eat her. But then she'll definitely not be eaten by Yule Cat, because she'll have another new sweater. And the project that I am going to frog, but I wanted to just mention because I made so much progress on it, is the Oolong Tank. So this is the Oolong Tank pattern by Amy Shear. It's hard to see in this material and light, but I knitted up in Terrapin Fibers Harbor Fingering in the color Bramble. And it is a tank top that has a really cool lace pattern on the front. Now, the reason that I'm going to frog this is kind of twofold. I feel like this yarn is not well suited to this pattern. The lace kind of just gets lost in the variegation in the yarn. And also I think like the drape of the fabric, it's a cotton linen blend. So I think it caused my lace to be a lot more open than it should have been, and just like doesn't spring back the way that a wool yarn would. So, as well as the armholes on this are just massive. I mean, it's like my head can fit through the armhole. Now, I haven't done the like ribbing finished work around here. That will make the armholes a little bit smaller. But I think I made some poor choices on choosing the size for this. And Amy Shear actually has a lot of instructions in this pattern that provide insight on how to choose the size. And I just don't think I followed it well, because I should have chosen, I was kind of like in between sizes with the upper bust measurement, and probably what I should have done was go with the smaller upper bust measurement. That would have been like, it would have fit, it just would have had a little bit less positive ease than necessarily recommended, and then done the bust starts. I didn't do that, and so I think I just sized up too much. This is also a bottom up, so it's harder to tell, I think, just you can't try it on as you go. And I think I also just maybe should have done the length for the strap shorter. But yes, so I'm going to frog this. I do want to use the yarn for something else because it's really nice yarn. I like the linen cotton blend. I would like to have a couple more summer knits. I just am not really sure what to use this for. But it was not inexpensive yarn, so I definitely want to use it. And I love the color of it. I think it's like a really fun, bold color. And I think I am going to attempt the Oolong Tank again. I'm going to do it in a wool blend, so it has that like stretch and stuff like that, but also a little bit of the drape, because I do like the drapiness of this pattern. And I think I'm going to really sit down and figure out the sizing before I start, so that I make sure I'm going to get something that really fits. That's definitely something that I want to try and work on in the new year, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a like 2026 plans, but really learning about shaping and tailoring is something that I would like to kind of get a little bit better at in the new year. All right, my next finished object is the I'm So Basic socks. This is the I'm So Basic socks by by Summer Lee. And I made this in the white is Knit Picks Stroll and in the color white. And the, what color would you call this? Maroon plummy is Round Mountain Fibers Birch Fingering in the color Rose Mallow Calyx. I am really happy with how this turned out. I originally picked up this yarn to do some fingerless mitts for me, but I just didn't love how the variegation was getting distributed. And then I cast it on as these socks and was like, perfect, they're stripes. And yeah, this was my first time using a Summer Lee sock pattern, and it's a good vanilla top-down sock. I think I'm somebody who prefers toe up, just personally for figuring out sizing. Also, like, if I'm worried about playing yarn chicken, I'd rather have a shorter cuff than not a long enough foot. And I will say I like this heel. It feels like it's going to be a good sturdy heel that's going to hold up really well. I don't love this heel for having a contrast, because for me, I think it looks weird. Like, I feel like the contrast should come out further, if that makes sense. So I think I'm more of a, like, afterthought heel person, personally. But I'm glad I did it. I would probably do this pattern again with a single color, or do, like, the contrast toe or ribbing at the cuff. Very easy to follow. Actually, no, it wasn't that easy to follow. I think it's a good beginner pattern, but for an experienced knitter, there was so much beginner info in there that it actually was kind of hard just to get to the parts that I needed and to follow that. But it feels like I was not necessarily the target audience for that. So I think if I were to do it again, I might just pull out the instructions that I need so that I don't have to just keep scrolling through this very large pattern for a very simple thing. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. These are going to be a gift knit. So I won't necessarily be able to talk about how the yarn has held up. I actually need to weave in the ends. But yes, very happy with these. I love how it knit up and the color combo I was really pleased with. It was just kind of something that I was like, okay, if I'm not going to make hand warmers out of these, what can I throw with it? And I think having a white sock yarn just around is so versatile. Like, I used the same stroll in this as I did in the Viola Tee. So it goes with so many things. And, a white contrast toe and heel. While it is going to show dirt a little bit more, they just look really nice. My next finished object is my first finished summer knit, and that is the Dido Tee. This pattern is by Sari Nordlund, and I made the size 3. And I knit it up in Kim Dye's yarn Cronut, which is a merino silk blend that this yarn feels so buttery soft, and when I'm wearing it, it has that like softness and like resilience and stretch from the merino, but the silk gives it this like very nice cooling effect that I'm really looking forward to wearing this a lot more. I haven't worn it that much because I finished it in September. I only had a couple times where it was really like warm enough to wear it on its own, or that I thought to wear it on its own. I also I don't know, it's so pretty. I think I didn't wear it quite as much as I probably should have because I didn't want anything to happen to it. But I need to be maybe a little less precious with it and just wear it so I can enjoy it. So yes, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I was a little nervous with it when I was knitting it up because I tried it on before blocking it and was like, oh no, is this going to be too small? But it's lace, so it opened up, and the stockinette opened up and was a lot more drapey as well, and just so happy with it. So yeah, I really like this pattern. It's got this gorgeous lace on the front and the sleeves, and then The rest of it is just stockinette. So it was an easy lace pattern to kind of memorize once you got going. It was a little fiddly as you're doing the neck, just because each row is a little different as you're picking stuff up. But I found it really easy to follow and everything. This is actually the first Sari Nordland that I've ever knit. I think my only issue with it is on one side I had really good lineup of where this like shoulder seam and then where the sleeve pattern starts. But I was not able to quite replicate that on the other side, if you can kind of see. And it was off by enough stitches that I didn't feel like I could kind of like add an extra stitch or like flub it a little bit. And I'm not really sure how that happened. So I did notice, so in the pattern, Sari Nordland tells you the amount of stitches to pick up, but not necessarily like the pickup rate, which I do appreciate having pickup rate. I ended up just using a pickup calculator to do this, and I think in the future I need to pay closer attention to, okay, I did this many, picked up this many stitches before getting to certain key points in the structure. Like, okay, I picked up this many stitches along this kind of increase diagonal, and this many picked up this many stitches along the straight, so that I can line up where certain elements happen. Like if it's just a stockinette sleeve, not as big of a deal, but if there's texture to it, to have it line up, I probably could have gone back and figured out what I did on the first sleeve retroactively, but I think I don't know, I was just wanted to pick up stitches and knit. And it also doesn't bother me that much. It's on the back of the shoulder, so it's not super noticeable, especially when I'm wearing it. Like if somebody's looking super close at it, they will notice it. And yeah, I really like this yarn. I think it's going to hold up really well. I love the drape and the movement to it. And yeah, I really like this. I also like that in the pattern, Sari Nordland, just kind of with the sleeve, you did a little bit of decreasing, and then she just said, like, keep going until you have the sleeve length that you want. So I think that's great, because, like, depending on what you want, you might want a super short sleeve, or you might want something that's, like, hits just before your elbow. You could even make this into a long sleeve pretty easily. Maybe add in a couple more like decreases. But very happy. Would I knit this pattern again? I think so. I think definitely in a very different color yarn, just so it stood out. I probably won't end up knitting another one, just because I think if I'm going to do another summer knit, I think this is a really good summer knit. I just want to have something that is unique. There's so many knitting patterns out there, and I don't feel like this is something that you can change up that much, but I do really like it. I enjoyed it. So if somebody else wanted this, you know, my daughter, when she gets old enough that I could knit her an adult size, if she was like, I absolutely love that tee, I would 100% make this for her, or make this for like another family member if they really liked it. It knit up pretty quickly. I knit this in just over a month, so that was also nice that it didn't take forever. And it's a sport weight too, so I think that's a really good weight for summer. It's not quite as tedious as a fingering weight, but it's not going to be a really dense, heavy fabric. The next one is what I am wearing, and that is my CatKnit Pullover. This pattern is by Andrea Rangel, and when I saw this pattern, I think I saw it like just around New Year's. I was like, I need to make this, and like immediately went and ordered yarn for it. It is knit up in Knitting for Olive Merino. The main color is in their plum rose, and the cats are done up in cloud. This is a sweater that, like, the colors for this, the way it turned out, was exactly how I pictured. I love this sweater. It is such a statement, but it also, like, from far away, it's like, oh, that's a cool color work. And then you get closer and you're like, oh, it's cats. That's so cool. Like, I love that. All the little details, these little, like, stars in here. I was like, I think it just turned out so good. Really happy. This was my first foray into doing a garment that was a fingering weight for a full-size garment, as well as a garment with color work. It was my first time doing circular yoke, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I did start this in February. I did not finish this until the beginning of October. And the reason it took me so long is not necessarily like I was actively knitting on this for those, like 9 months. But because I kept picking this up and putting it down. I made a lot of progress on this to like the cat's heads and then set it down and was working on a bunch of other stuff because it's just a lot of stitches. It is a dense fabric, but like it still feels lightweight because it is that fingering. But it's like a dense knit. Like the size needles that I was using, I used like 2.75 millimeter for the color work. Or 3, yeah. And then the rest of it was like 2.5 and then the ribbing was 2.25. So that's like sock size needles. So imagine knitting just like a giant sock for your body. That's going to take a long time. And then also like it was so much fun like knitting the cats and being like watching the little ears pop up and then the little faces. So that was like really good. And that's also like when you have less stitches, but because it is the circular yoke, you're adding more stitches. You're having more stitches each row. So each row took longer. And I just kind of lost a little bit of momentum. And I did have a point where I told myself, okay, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to do a row a night. Because then I would make some progress and get through that row. And then I found that most of the time, once I got done with that row, I'd do like another row or two in an evening. But there were some nights where I did set it down and pick up something else that was a little bit like more mindless, or it was something that like I could make more progress on when I wanted to have that like dopamine kick of like, I did the thing. As well as this was definitely a project that I really needed to be concentrating on a little bit more because of the color work. The color work chart was easy to follow, but it changes so much each round. And because it is the repeating pattern, if I got off, it would be on one cat, it would be super noticeable. So I just wanted to really pay attention to it. So I wasn't bringing this knit with me, like to the playground or just out and about, or even really picking this up and working on it during the day. Like if I found some pockets of time where like my kid was happily playing on her own and I could kind of sit and knit and be there if she needed me. But like didn't need to be actively like engaged. I wasn't picking it up because I knew it would be a lot harder to set it down and stop in the middle of a row. Once I got to doing like the body and the sleeves, I did start bringing it with me more often. So those kind of started going a little bit faster, but also went a little slower because there wasn't the like dopamine kick of like, I finished a row and look at the progress I made, because it's just so much stockinette. All of that said, I love this sweater. I'm so happy with it. It is exactly what I pictured. My only complaints are really, I think, just it's my first circular yoke. So I think the neckline feels a little big. It is designed to have like a loose fit to it. So the way it fits me is loose. I do think in the future, if I do circular yoke, I may do something I've seen some other people who have like more of a difference between their upper bust and bust measurement, and pick a size based on my upper bust measurement, but then cast on a few more extra stitches to get the proper bust measurement, just because that's kind of where it can line up. Pay attention to the pattern. And if it's a super deep like yoke, that's not going to work. But I think I've seen a few people talk about that, and I think that might actually provide a fit that is like perfect for me. I also think like if I do something that has like a similar number of stitches picked up for the yoke, I might do more of a ribbing, because I do feel like this would look a little bit better if the collar sat in just a tiny bit more, like maybe even at just a half an inch, not a whole lot. All of that said, I love it. I think it looks really great with my hair down. I think it's like if I wear my hair up, it feels like it's a little bit too wide of a neck for me personally. But yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Would I make this again? Probably not. Like, I don't have the need to have two of these in my wardrobe. It is such a statement thing. If somebody I knew asked me to knit them one, probably not. Just because there is so much time that went into this sweater. And, like, while the people who would ask me to make them something, make a sweater in my life, like, are knit worthy, and I love, like, seeing them love the things that I knit, I think I would steer them towards a different pattern that just is maybe a little less time investment on my part. But yeah, I enjoyed this pattern, would recommend, especially if you're a cat lover. Alright, so now we get into the gift knit portion of my year, as I realized, like, oh, holidays are coming, I gotta make some gift knits. So the first of the gift knit objects is my Alaska Doodle Beanie. Da-da-da! This is the Doodle Beanie 2 pattern, yes, by Jamie Lomax, who, the Pacific Knit Co., who does all of the Doodle decks, and the pattern on it is a combination of patterns from their Alaska Doodle deck. My parents are going on an Alaska cruise and had requested hats to match their coats, so this is the one for my mom, and I'm showing it off because by the time this video will be up, she will already have it. I do have to weave in the ends and block this. I don't know why it's taken me so long to do that. But yes, I really love this. This is knit up in Knit Picks Modish Merino. You'll notice I use a lot of Knit Picks. It's because I love Knit Picks yarns. I'm also a Knit Picks ambassador, so use my discount code in the description if you want to order yarn. You can get 15% off your order. And also, like, I just get credit. Like, I've been a fan of Knit Picks for a while. This is my first year being part of the ambassador program, so I get, like, if I make posts about it, I get credit to buy more yarn. So it's kind of a win-win, because it was like I was already using this yarn, now I get to just offset the purchasing of and making products. But yes, this is yarn that I was going on the Knit Pick site to try and find some yarn to make the hats, and I saw this was brand new, and I was like, well, this would be a really good project to try out this yarn and see how I like it. I really like this yarn. It's merino wool. It's not super wash, but it's like an easy wash. I don't know the exact details on it, but it is something that it says, like, you can machine wash. You still need to, like, lay flat to dry. But it's like an easier care merino without having, like, this full superwash qualities to it. It's so soft. It's super soft, and I love the colors it came in. Like, I think this is super great for color work because it has these such, like, bold, fun colors. I definitely, like, want to make myself a few things with this yarn someday. So yes, I really enjoyed this pattern. It was easy to follow. It seems like a pattern that's easy to also adapt based on what weight yarn you want to have. Like, you just need to figure out the gauge and then adjust from there. Kid sizes to adult sizes. I made this one in the, like, medium adult, because that's the size of my mom's head. And very happy with it. I'm excited to see this one once I fully block it. But already, even pre-blocked, it's looking pretty darn good. This was my first foray into 3-strand color work, because up here at one point I had 3 strands going on with, like, the mountains and the sky and the stars. And I think I did a really good job with it. Definitely like figuring out the color dominance, which one I wanted to do that, and then like yarn management. It was a really good, like, I think if you want to try color work, doing like a color work hat is a really good approach to it, because it's also not like so much it's overwhelming. Definitely will be making more of these Doodle beanies in the future, because it's so easy to customize it for each individual person. Next, I made 4 of the same pattern, and that was the Zermatt Headband by Elisa Covelli. I made it up in Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick in 2 different colors. One of these is Hudson Bay, and I don't remember the color of the other one. Ta-da! Somebody actually commented that these kind of have a bit of a like crochet look to them, I think because of the broken rib. I can see that, like, if you don't know knitting and crochet. But I knit these a little off gauge because I was using this like extra bulky yarn, and I think it was written for bulky weight. But because it is something that you knit like strip, and then you fold the strip together and sew it, you just have to knit it to a certain length based on the circumference of the head. I'm very happy with these. I've actually gifted 2 of them. I only have these 2 because I gifted 2 of them to teachers at my kids' school, and they appreciated them to keep their ears warm. And yeah, I really like this pattern. I definitely will make this pattern again. These knit up, like, I did all 4 of these in like a week. It only took like a day or 2 to make each one. So very nice last minute gift knits. And I think they're super functional as well. The Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick is fine. I think it's really nice for accessories. It's not super soft, but also it's a wool that you don't have to worry a whole lot about taking, like, how to wash it and stuff like that, which I like doing, especially for small gift knits for people where I don't have to worry about, like, and here's the care instruction that you now have to worry about with this thing. Like, if it gets thrown in the washer and dryer, it's okay. Now, the last thing that I knit for my daughter this year, I actually started back in August, but didn't finish till December. More on why later. But that is the Coloring Book Tee Mini by Amy Scher. The pattern for this actually originally has like doing some stripes on it. I think I am going to do a stripe version for my daughter at some point. But she picked out this yarn when we were at Mother of Yarns and was like, Mama, make me a sweater out of this, because it's this fun like rainbow. It is Malabrigo Ultimate Sock in unicorn bark. This was a good pattern to follow, just kind of simple ragland. I think my only complaint is that you pick up the collar after the fact, and I would have just preferred you just start with the collar and then go down. Not a huge deal. I think it does allow you the option to do like a contrast collar a little bit easier. And this goes from a newborn all the way up to 14 years, so you can make a whole bunch of different sizes. I like this. It has a little bit less dense of a fabric as the Viola Tee, and that might also be the yarn choice, because I think this is a little bit of a lighter fingering weight than the other Malabrigo. Oh, they're both Malabrigo. Maybe not. But yeah, I thought this was an easy pattern to follow. I think I will make this again, especially because there's such a large size range, and I think doing the stripe would be nice. It's kind of one of those stripes where the stripe starts like here across the chest, so it's not 100% stripe, and I like that look in a striped sweater. Striped sweater? God. The reason it took me so long to knit this was I cast this on, was making pretty good progress, but then was on a kick to finish the CatKnit. I went looking for it, forgot I was wearing it. I went on a kick to finish the CatKnit, and I had just done the Dido Tee. I had done the CatKnit, and I was working on this, and I had a pair of socks that are still current whip. And I had too many fingering weight projects. I needed a break from fingering weight, so I wasn't picking this up as much as I should have. And when I finally did pick it up, because I finished the body and was like, I just have to do the sleeves, like, I basically did a sleeve in a day, so it should have been done much, much sooner. But this was done in time that I was able to give it to my daughter just before Yule started. So this was her like, here you go, here's your new piece of clothing, so Yule Cat won't eat you. If you want to find out about Yule Cat, go look it up. I think it's a fun like Norse pagan tradition thing that I think all knitters will definitely love, because it's like motivate you to knit something. And the final completed object for 2025 is a rocket beanie. So this is also made with the base Doodle 2 pattern. This is also knit in the Knit Picks modish. For both of them, I'll put what colors I used on screen because I used a whole bunch of different colors. And this was, I have blocked this one so you can kind of see what it looks like. The like modish does have this like nice drape and movement and feels even softer after being blocked. The color work blocked out really well. There was a little bit of like pulling with the rockets, but that got fixed once I blocked it. And I'm so happy with how this turned out. This was a little bit more complicated because at a couple points I was holding 4 different colors. So there was like a little bit more yarn management that was involved there. I played around, I did a couple of different versions of this and like frogged it out because I originally made it with the like yellow as the brim, and I originally didn't have the green, but then I decided I was going to do like yellow and then red background. I was like, no, let's get the green. I ordered the green, it came in, because I also like thought for a little bit about doing like a black background, but I thought that would be too much of a contrast for my dad. This is going for my dad. He loves model rockets. He's into model rocketry. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, it's super obvious what it is. Such a good, his head's a little bit bigger than mine. But this did actually stretch out a little bit. I probably should have blocked. I probably should have done a gauge swatch. But yeah, you can see the hat. Very comfortable. It's so warm because there's so many layers. Let me show you I'm particularly happy about the floats in this. Look at that! I'm really happy, and like this gives me the confidence to do a sweater with stranded color work, and like feel good about it. So I'm very glad that I decided to do these hats. It was a very good experiment and like practice into stranded color work. So there you go. Those are the completed knits for 2025. Now, if you watched my last couple of videos, you might be expecting one more. And I have what may be finished in 2025, but it's not finished for this video. And that's my book club cardigan. Let me grab it real quick. I'm honestly so close to having this finished. I finished the second sleeve a couple days ago. So I have 2 sleeves. And I am kind of in my last like diamond repeat on the body, and then I just have to do the ribbing, but then I have to do the double knit button band. So we're gonna see how much time I have in the next week basically to knit this, if this is officially a 2025 knit or if this becomes the first finished object of 2026. But yes, I wanted to just kind of mention it as an honorable mention. So there you go. I knit a lot more this year than I realized, especially until I like gathered everything up. I think this year was just, I had a little bit more time for knitting. My kid's getting a little bit older, so she's a little bit more independent. There's a lot more times where it is like, we can be at the playground and I can just have a small project with me and be knitting on it while she's running around and playing, and I'm kind of there supervising, as well as like in the mornings or, you know, when she's home from school, having a little bit more time to just like hang out and sit and knit. She's also started coming with me to some of the knitting meetups that I've gone to. If it cuts here in time, she's getting a pair of knitting needles for Yule, so she might start knitting with me. I'm very excited for that. This morning, she was telling me, because she had picked up my knitting and apparently was trying to knit and then like hit it because she felt bad that she wasn't doing it correctly. So I was like, that's okay. I can show you. Like, you weren't doing it right because nobody's shown you. And she told me that she was like, I just want to be a paleontologist and I want to knit like you. And that made me so happy. So yeah, that might be something that, might dive into a little bit in the next year of like teaching my 3, almost 4-year-old how to knit, how that goes. It's been a fun like experiment of looking back on. It's been a year making videos here. I've really enjoyed that. I've enjoyed hearing about your projects, kind of getting to feel a little bit more part of like the online knitting community. I've also felt a lot more like stronger within my local knitting community. I've got some really great friends there doing more meetups. And so, yeah, I think I've had more time than I expected to knit this year, which has been nice. I also feel like my knitting skills have improved a lot this year. I do think it is nice to like, don't compare your knits to other people's knits. Like, it's fun to get inspiration from other people. I try to avoid like comparing my skill levels or finished objects too much because like we're all at different stages. We all have different skills and strengths. And especially like if you're a beginner knitter, comparing yourself to somebody who's been knitting for 15, 20 years, yeah, you're not going to make stuff as nice as the person who has a decade of experience. But I like doing some of these things to look back and compare myself to myself to see like, where have I improved this year? Maybe where are things that like, oh, I didn't improve. So maybe this is something that I'll try and find a project that I can work on this. Like, hey, I really want to work on colorwork knitting. I can find a project to work on that. And then it's also nice to like look back on and see like, where are the things like gaps in my wardrobe or gaps in things that I've knitted that I would like to like add to my wardrobe, or to be able to say, I've done a colorwork sweater. I've knitted a pair of socks. So I like doing these. I like seeing what everybody else has knit. It's definitely a great form of inspiration, and like my Ravelry favorites definitely grows every time I watch one of these. But I would love to know, what are the things that you've knit this year? Is there any project in particular you're especially proud of? Have you made any of these things or have plans to make any of these things? How did it go for you? Let's chat about it more in the comments below. And I think next video is going to be talking about my plans for 2026. So yeah, 2025. Oh my God, this year is finally over. It has been the shortest and longest year of my life. I'm sad to see it go, but also hopeful that 2026 is maybe a little less eventful. Doubtful on a personal level, but hopefully on a larger scale level, maybe a little less eventful. Happy Yule, happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate. Happy New Year to you. I hope 2025 has treated you as kindly as it can, and wish you the best for 2026. I'll see you next time. Bye.